I'm here with Caleb Maupin, the author of BreadTube Serves Imperialism, how the YouTubers who pretend to be progressive are actually serving hegemony and imperialism. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But right now, we're going to talk about the real reason behind the war in Ukraine. Now, we've told you about this before. I'll just tell you again, there's a little bit more to talk about because there's some more developments. They just signed a deal. The European Union signed a deal with the United States to curb so that the United States is now going to provide gas to the European Union instead of Russia, liquefied natural gas. The U.S. and the EU have announced a major deal on liquefied natural gas in an attempt to reduce Europe's reliance on Russian energy. The agreement will see the U.S. provide the European Union with extra gas, equivalent to around 10% of the gas it currently gets from Russia by the end of this year. So what that means is we're going to start fracking and doing all kinds of crazy shit and polluting our groundwater so that we could stop Russia from selling gas to Europe. That's what we're doing, okay? The bloc has already said it will cut Russian gas use in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russia currently supplies 40% of the European Union's gas needs. Where does the European Union get its natural gas imports? Well, here where they are. The European gets them from Norway, 35% from Russia, the UK, Algeria, Qatar, Nigeria, Trinidad, and the United States. Okay. The new deal will involve the United States and other countries supplying an extra 15 billion cubic meters of gas on top of last year's 22 billion cubic meters. The new total will represent around 24% of the gas currently imported from Russia. The eventual aim is for the United States and international partners to provide about 50 billion cubic meters per year to the European Union. Cutting reliance on Russia will mean generating more renewable energy and improving energy efficiency, as well as increasing imports. Okay. U.S. President Joe Biden and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen discussed Russia's invasion of Ukraine and offered fresh support for Kiev. Putin is using Russia's energy sources to coerce and manipulate its neighbors. Mr. Biden told reporters in Brussels he's used the profits to drive his war machine. He said, in other news, water is wet and 2 + 2 = 4. He said the long-term benefits of the deal would outweigh the short-term pain that reducing Russian gas supplies would cause. I know that eliminating Russian gas will have costs for Europe, but it's not only the right thing to do from a moral standpoint, it's going to put us on a much stronger strategic footing. So this is all about morals. As we're occupying a third of Syria, committing a genocide in Yemen, bombing Somalia, and starving the people in Afghanistan, we're doing the moral thing. President von der Leyen said, we want, as Europeans, to diversify away from Russia towards suppliers that we trust, that are friends, and that are reliable. Live blog, Russia's Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline is not. So they built a gas pipeline. So right now, when Germany gets their gas from Russia, it goes through Ukraine. So they built this pipeline that goes right from Russia to Germany, right? So that's the idea. It's called Nord Stream 2. And Trump put sanctions on it because the fossil fuel companies in the United States, they don't want that to happen. They want what's happening now. They want to sell the gas to Europe, right? And so they want to cut that pipeline off from Russia to Germany. And when Trump was president, he put sanctions on the construction of that pipeline. When Biden became elected, he took all those sanctions off. Why? Because the pipeline was already built. And he said, all right, you can start pumping gas through that pipeline on one condition. If Russia is ever aggressive towards Ukraine, you have to stop the flow of gas. Well, of course, then the United States went and provoked that very thing that would cause the Germans to cut that pipeline off. Now, let me ask you, Caleb, why would Germany go along with this? Why would Germany follow the dictates of the United States and cut off their own gas supply?
Because at the end of the day, the United States is the dominant power in the world. And I mean, this is just about securing a monopoly. That's what's going on here. It's about removing competition. And it's funny because this is from the same forces that like to tell us they believe in free trade, right? They love free trade, free competition, right? Not when it's Russia, not when it's Huawei Technologies in China. They don't really believe in free trade when it's countries around the world that might do a better job selling oil, selling gas, selling technology. And at the end of the day, it's really blatant what's going on here. But also, I mean, how much independence does Germany really have? How much independence does France really have? A lot of these European countries are going to be asking themselves, again, are we really a free, independent country, or are we under the boot heels of the United States and Britain?
So what Richard Medhurst says, he says, called it. First, the United States ordered its vassal Germany to stop Nord Stream 2. Now the U.S. gas companies come to the rescue to take a bite out of Russia's market share in European gas. Never underestimate the ability of corporate America to make money off of chaos. So it appears as this was the real plan all along. They wanted to provoke Russia into doing this. They did it. And now we get to have some more gas sales for the United States fossil fuel companies, the people who really run this country. And I said, you really thought this war was because we care about the people of Ukraine? Americans are that stupid. The agreement will see the U.S. provide. So there it is. So how is it that, Caleb, how is it that nobody can catch on to this?
Well, it just seems like there's been this atmosphere created in American media where you're not allowed to. Look, if they can go after Tulsi Gabbard for talking about biolabs that actually exist, that are confirmed, and they can call her a traitor and say that the Department of Justice should go after her, they can basically silence discourse. And, you know what's going on. I know what's going on. The audience here knows what's going on. But the mainstream media is really just sending the message that anyone who begins to question any aspect of this is just a bad, morally reprehensible person. And this cancel culture stuff they've been experimenting with over the past few years, they're escalating it like crazy to try and control foreign policy discourse. I mean, it's pretty wild to see what they're doing. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are still curious. A lot of people smell something rotten in the state of Denmark. And so I wonder how much longer it will hold. This is a very interesting moment.
To say the least, I can't believe that people... I was on stage at a comedy club last week in Burbank, here in Los Angeles, and I did a joke, and the joke was basically... hey, the people who lied about everything, every war in my lifetime, I'm sure they're telling the truth about this, and it doesn't have anything to do with a gas transfer. And people laughed, and I got off stage, and the MC went up and said, wow, we could hear some crazy conspiracy theories.
Wow.
That's what the host said at the comedy club. Wow. That's a comedian. That's a comedian. Yeah. Repeating. So it's sad to see. I come from the world of comedy, but you see lots of comedians repeating State Department talking points, which is the opposite of comedy. That's called propaganda. That's not comedy. Sure. Comedy is supposed to question authority, and it's supposed to tell you the truth. It's not supposed to repeat fucking pro-war propaganda, and that's what comedy does. But that's how uninformed even most comedians are. As most people, if you get your news from the corporate news, you don't know what's going on at any moment in the world ever. If you're getting your news from Chris Hayes and fake tough guy Lawrence O'Donnell or crazy conspiracy theorist Rachel Maddow, you have no idea what's actually going on, and you think your life is being controlled by Vladimir Putin, when your life is actually being controlled by a handful of billionaires right here in the United States who want to squash you, and guess what? They did it. Hey, we're doing our live stand-up tour. We're going to be in Orlando. We're going to be in Tampa, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, much, much more. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets. And you can come see our shows in Los Angeles, too. We do one weekly. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com and become a premium member while you're there. Get all the extra content. Thank you.